Please stand by while Emma Keene sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Our next veteran was born in Dallas, Texas, and was commissioned after graduating from the U of A in August 1990. He was responsible for leading, recruiting, training, counseling, and evaluating highly qualified young men and women as prospective Air Force officers. We are pleased to introduce to you the Veteran of the Hour, Buster McCall.
Good afternoon. So, everyone ready? I know this is Lincoln, by the way. He's the more important person of the two of us. He is the resident dog at the Arkansas State Veterans Home in Fayetteville. And if you ever want to see him and come pet him, because he's not a service dog, he's more of a comfort animal. He lives in the home for the residents who live there. And you're welcome to meet Lincoln and see Lincoln and also the residents. Yeah, you can hear this. Yeah, that's right. Oh, what now? Yeah, you can let him loose. Yeah, so he's loose right now. He might walk around and see things. Okay, so but he's totally good. Just pet him and he'll be okay. Okay, so he's like, how do I get up there on the stage? Okay, yeah. Come on up. Okay, he's wanting up on the stage. Okay, so come on around. Right, there's a ramp right down there. Yes, yeah, there you go. Okay. I never feed him, but he's attached for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I had a full presentation planned here, but it's now going to be, look at Lincoln. Oh, okay, no. So I guess you guys got a big game tonight. Who are you guys playing tonight? Oh. Yeah, my daughters went to Fayetteville, but I can honestly say you guys are going to cream them. Yeah. Oh. Anyway, so we're going. So you're probably wondering what we're going to talk about here today. So next slide. Let's see what we got. And we wait. Next slide. Oh, here we go. Just a little history. Next slide. Let's see what we got. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So what we're going to go over about is a little bit of what is Veterans Day. Why do we celebrate it? What's it about? We're going to talk a little bit about that and about my realization of what Veterans Day really is to me, which took years for me to figure out. Why do we get involved? And finally, we're going to have a little fun. We're going to take some pictures of some of the places I've been in the world. And you guys get to guess, where in the world is Buster? Okay? So sort of a Where's Waldo thing. So next slide. So Veterans Day. It started at the end of World War one. Yes, in 1918. All the shaded countries there were at war. It was the war to end all wars. And when they decided to set the armistice time, which was when they ended the war, they tried to set that at a time that would be memorable. And they knew it was going to be in November, and they set November 11th. Okay, that's cool. What else can they do? Oh, let's do it at 11 a.m. Okay, so 11/11/11 in year 1918. Okay, so that's when they decided to end the war. Next slide. That war was the war to end all wars. It was a horrendous war. 16 million service members died. And by the way, during that war, they also had a little thing called the Spanish flu, which took out another, 18 million? I'm just guessing there, but it was a large number of people. 21 million wounded. To put that in perspective, the population of Arkansas is only 3 million. Yeah, that's like 5 Arkansas dying. That's how horrendous the war was. 138 million participated in the election that just happened in 16. Population of the United States, 329 million. So imagine 16 million out of 329 million not coming home. A lot of people lost their life. It was called the Great War, not because it was something awesome that we all wanted to go to, but because it was so huge and horrible. And it was called the war to end all wars. And so within a year, they set up Armistice Day to remember those who survived the war. Next page. Next slide. They signed the armistice. Next slide. November 11th, Armistice Day. But has anyone ever heard of Armistice Day? There's a few? Yeah. Pretty much Veterans Day is what we call it now. Why is that? Next slide. President Eisenhower, back in the 50s, he signed a declaration to make Armistice Day not just remember those great heroes from World War I, but all the veterans who have served in all the past wars. Next slide. Okay. This is something that came out of World War I. It's a poem written by a doctor, a Canadian doctor. And what would happen is you have artillery, big booming cannons, and it would tear up the ground and churn it. And so anything green, any grass, any trees, any bushes, any shrubberies, anything like that, gone. All you had was this barren churned field, sort of like a garden, if you ever saw a garden churned or tilled, okay? And then what went in there, you saw the numbers. Several thousand lost their lives in those fields. And it just turns out poppies think that's heaven. And so just a few days, weeks after a battle, the field would turn red with poppy flowers. And that inspired this poem. If you'll entertain me, I'm going to go ahead and read it off the slide. No, back one. Yes, thank you. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. And there are 2 lines that I don't know off the slide in Flanders fields. It's a great, I encourage you to look it up. It's a great slide, great poem. And, but that was inspired to remember those that passed away. The great thing about Veterans Day, though, It's not focused. Memorial Day is our day to think about those veterans who passed away. Veterans Day, that's that day to get out there and find a veteran and thank him or her for their service. Next slide. This was Bosnia-Herzegovina. Just to give you an idea. All those white, pristine crosses there. This is one of the places I was in. This is one of the things that made me start thinking about Veterans Day, Armistice Day. All those white crosses were put in that cemetery around 1994, 1995, just 2 years. There's a very small piece of that cemetery down in one corner that has hundreds of years of people buried there. But that's the cost of war. Of course, with a strong military, we can prevent that from happening, or at least try. Next slide. Okay, we're going to go to Where in the World now. So this was one of the places I got to go to, not militarily. That's the neat thing about being in the military. You get to go places and see things. And so I got to go to see things and go places in different parts of the world, and this is one of the places I got to see. Anyone know where I'm at there? Germany or Russia? Those are good guesses. London? No? Try a little bit further south. Wait, did I hear it? South of Berlin. It's the capital. Rome. Yes, we have a winner. Rome. Yeah. That's around the Vatican. It's just a picture from being there that you don't often see. The Pope shows up right there in the middle where that's where the Pope comes out. Yeah. So, next slide. Let's see what we got. Okay. People were smaller in Europe. Hey, Lincoln, welcome back. Right on cue. Any ideas where I'm at here? France, exactly. There's a clue there. I'm outside a house where a certain person was born. Any idea? No, not George Washington. This is in France. What? Abraham Lincoln? No. I'll give you a hint. It's a lady. I think I heard a Joan. No, Joan of Arc. You're right. So I am actually standing right here. I'm standing outside the front door of the house that Joan of Arc lived in France. How cool is that? I mean, you read about these people, you don't really realize how real they are until you get out there and you get to see some of this. It's amazing. Next slide. This slide, still in France, it's not really a where are you thing. This is where I really figured out what Veterans Day, or Armistice Day as it used to be called, was truly about. Being an American, overseas, we were off on Veterans Day. It was a holiday. I know you guys don't get that off, but federally you do. And so what did we do? We decided to go out and we're going to do some sightseeing. So we ended up in this town. It's like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, totally empty. Even the donut houses essentially were closed up. It was like a ghost town. We couldn't find anyone anywhere. And so we were just basically window shopping the nice buildings, the old architecture in the town. And then we started seeing some people walking by. And we're like, well, where are they going? We got to figure this out. And we started following them, and pretty soon, the few stragglers became a big swarm and a big river. And this river of people ended up in the square, in the main square. And there we saw French soldiers dressed up in uniforms through the ages. And they were celebrating Armistice Day. They were remembering Armistice Day, Veterans Day. They're remembering a war that had happened almost 100 years earlier at the time. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness. You know, we were thinking selfishly, like it's a day off. It's a time to go out and shop. Maybe just watch some TV, go to a movie. You know, take advantage of a free veterans meal. When really it's a time to honor those veterans. And this was a changing moment for me. Next slide. Oh, yeah, there's a clue on this one. I am in Georgia, yes. But am I in the state? No, I'm in the country. This is Tbilisi, Georgia. Okay, this is one of the things. The Russians went in 2008. I don't know if you even noticed that. It was sort of a blip on the news. And the Russians came in, and they were close to overrunning the country. And so what we did, we went in there as sort of a speed bump, because the Russians weren't going to risk starting a war with the United States. Talk about stopping those crosses. We weren't able to do that in Bosnia, where I showed you earlier, but we stopped those crosses from happening in Georgia. Russia looked at us and said, let's back off. They backed out of there. Okay. And that's how you can win a war without even fighting it, just by being there. Next slide. Okay, a lot of clues in this one. Where do you think I am here? Arkansas? No. Paris? Close. A little bit further west. Or east, depending on which way you go. Poland, you're going the right direction. Now go south. Iraq. Yes, Iraq. This is Iraq. So, yeah, we bring a lot of us with us. These are T-walls, big concrete walls about, twice as tall as I am, about 12 feet tall. And on those walls, we had flags painted of every single one of our states. And so I found the Arkansas one, got a picture there. That's a picture of Saddam Hussein in tile. We were near one of his palaces. Matter of fact, that tile is real close to what they call the Palace of the Victory over America. How ironic is that? Yeah. So there, that twisted. That's weird. That shouldn't even be there. Anyway, no, that's me on a throne that was given to Saddam Hussein by, I just blanked the name. He was a Palestinian terrorist. And I cannot think of his name right now, but he's famous. He was the face of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, and I've just blanked his name. But anyway, he gave that to Saddam Hussein for him standing up against America. And then this other picture here in the middle, the interesting thing, and it's hard to see from where you're at, but you're welcome to get copies of the slides. This tank in the back corner there has 2 turrets. When we took out the tank on the left, the turret actually blew off the tank, flipped in the air, and landed on top of the other tank that we had just taken out. So it's got 2 turrets. It's not new, some new omnidirectional Iraqi vehicle. Next slide. And here, any ideas? This was a hard one here. Yeah, I heard Area 51, you're close. No, actually it's in Missouri. Okay? Yeah, I don't think anyone would get that out. It's a building, yes, it's a building in Missouri. You are the winner of this one, yes. It's Whiteman Air Force Base. And Whiteman Air Force Base is the home of the only stealth bombers in the world. Okay? With these bombers, the ones that we're standing by, we can go anywhere in the world, and we have bombs big enough and powerful enough to try to strike any target. And one of the things that we were proud of saying, didn't matter how deep you dug, our bomb was going to get there. Okay, because a lot of the people believe if you dig deep enough, you're safe. No, these bombs and these planes can go anywhere. I remember we were at the last meeting, I think it was the last inspection that the Russians did on this base to confirm that we were abiding by our limitation of nuclear weapons treaty. And while they were there, the Russian delegation leader presented the general in charge of the base with a coin. And this is something that happens a lot in the military world. Coins sort of like, hey, thanks for doing the work you're doing. And handed the coin out and said, here you go. And then the general, he took out our coin. And he gave it to the Russian. And he said, notice on this coin there are 2 mushroom clouds. They represent Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay. They're the only 2 times that a nuclear weapon have been used in an act of war in the history of mankind. And it was used by this squadron that has this bomber. And the general informed the Russian that we do have the ability to go anywhere, anytime. To which the Russian said, and I hope we never have to do it again. Again, deterring war through strength is important. Next up. Oh yeah, here we go. Someone actually named the country earlier. No, it is Europe. It is not, it's on the mainland. Not Las Vegas, Europe. Okay, Paris, you're close with Paris. North of Italy and east. No, it's not London. No. Poland. Not Italy, between Poland and France. Germany, yes, we have a Germany. Yes, yay, we have a winner. This is Cologne, Germany. It's one of the cathedrals there. That's one thing. In Europe, they think, the joke goes that we think, or they think 200 miles is a long ways to go, and we're like, yeah. But we think that 200 years is a long time. This cathedral here is more than 500 years old. Okay, very tall. Next up. Oh, okay. You guys have named real close to this place. I can tell you. No, it is west of England. Ireland, yes. This is Dublin, Ireland. And so, if you ever go to Dublin, Ireland, in Dublin, Ireland, you can actually go underneath, okay, some of the churches, and this case, it was an accident. Some of the coffins dry rot or whatever and fell and exposed this one skeleton of note. And interesting story behind him, he's a crusader who died around 1100, 1200. And this crusader was more than 6 foot tall. Well, all the coffins back then were about 5.5 feet tall. So they actually had to break his legs to make him fit. So there he's got his hand out, though. He's wanting to shake hands. He's a very congenial person. And they actually let you go in there, and if you dare, you can gently rub his hand. Yeah. Freaky. Things that you've done in the world. Yeah, that's it. Next slide. Okay, back on the mainland Europe. Anyone have an idea on this place? North of France. Brussels, yes. Oh my goodness. On fire. You are on fire. That is so good. Yeah, this is, what is that? Is that a carpet? It's flowers, exactly. Flowers indeed. Flowers. It's amazing. Amazing. Good job. Someone I think has been there or seen this. Well done. Next up. Next slide. This, for sake of time, it's Iceland, yes. Okay. Land of Fire and Ice. I was stationed there for a while too. That was a great place. Next up. Next slide. That's Germany. This is Neuschwanstein Castle from a view that you probably hasn't seen. This is the Cinderella Castle in Bavaria. Next slide. Next slide. This is Dubrovnik on the Mediterranean coast. It's across the way from Italy. It's also known as the Kingdom of Ragusa for you history nuts. Next up. Okay. And wow, these are some great ways these slides worked out. One thing, I want to share a story. We found one thing was always open for Thanksgiving everywhere we went. I can't tell you the number of times I had turkey in a Hard Rock Cafe. So, a Hard Rock Cafe seems to always be open, always available. But Veterans Day, we talked about what Veterans Day is. You know, it's started with the end of the war to end all wars, 11 November 1918 at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. Why do we get involved? We touched on that a little bit, especially with the French. It's to remember those people who are going out there and giving their lives, putting their lives on the line, so that we can be safe in our freedom and hopefully avoid future war. And we went through a lot of places I've been in. I feel like Forrest Gump. I've been stationed in Alaska, didn't even show that. Been stationed in Europe, United States, mainland. Been to Iraq, Kuwait, been all around the world. Places for a small town farm boy from Gentry, Arkansas. Never would have thought. Next slide. And so, go Hogs, go Cats. Let's see if we can get a couple of wins this weekend. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Okay. I know I'm at the end of the day. You're like, when you quit speaking, we get to go home. Okay. So I get this. Okay. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to thank our Veteran of the Hour for sharing their stories with us. We're so honored to have you here today. Presenting a special thank you is our very own Har-Ber High School Dr. Greep.
On behalf of Har-Ber High School, we want to thank you for your service to our country. We want to thank you for telling your story today. And we want to present you a plaque and, just a small token of our appreciation. Give one more round of applause.